Good morning, Excellencies, honorable members of Parliament, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of People's Majlis, it's my great honor to welcome you to the AFPPD Sub-Regional Parliamentarians Meeting on Women Empowerment and Investment in Young People in South Asia. We are pleased to host this important gathering here in Mali, and thank you all for being here. This meeting brings together parliamentarians and stakeholders from across South Asia to share experience and strengthen our collective efforts to promote gender equality and youth empowerment through policy and legislations. It reflects our shared visions of a more inclusive and sustainable future with women and young people leading the way. May I first invite Mr. Sujiwa Makochi, Child D Affairs, Embassy of Japan, to kindly deliver his opening remarks.
Good morning. Walaikum salam. Honorable Member of Parliament, distinguished delegates, and esteemed partners. On behalf of the Government of Japan, it is a privilege, both diplomatic and developmental, to offer remarks at the opening of this strategically convened sub-regional parliament meeting. We extend our sincere commendation to the Asian Forum of Parliamentarians on Population and Development, United Nations Population Fund, and the distinguished parliamentary and civil society actors gathered here today for their enduring engagement with the nuanced and vital intersection of gender parity, youth investment, and population policy across South Asia. Japan's commitment to gender responsive governance and right-based youth empowerment has been substantively challenged through the Japan Trust Fund, a mechanism not only fiscal in nature, but also substantively impactful in its engagement. Since the early 2000s, this platform has served as an enabler of cross-institutional dialogue and catalytic programming in collaboration with UNFPA, AFPPD, and APDA. The convening here in the Maldives aligned with Sub-Activity 2.3 under the ICPD 3.0, addressing population issue and strengthening national committees, which has budget of US $35,000 and a total project cost of US $800,000, spanning 2023 to 2025. The implementation of the ICPD program of action and achievement of the sustainable development goals hinge not solely on institutional mandates, but on the reflexivity and policy literacy of legislators themselves. Parliaments are not merely producer bodies, but active engines, shaping not just laws, but very frames through which development action is operationalized. This partnership makes a significant contribution to the development of inclusive policies and that advance women and youth in the region by fostering policy discussions, capacity building workshops, and cross-border collaboration among legislative bodies. And I have no doubt that our shared vision and ongoing collaboration will yield measurable outcomes. Japan remains committed to not only as a financial partner but as an advocate for principled cooperation. The convening by design contributes directly to AFPPD's institutional architecture, particularly its Standing Committee on Gender Equality, Youth Engagement, and Active Aging, each of which encapsulate domains often structurally sidelined in policy hierarchies. These committee plays a vital role in fostering evidence-based policy making and in advocating for best practices that can be shared among parliamentarians to improve the lives of women and youth. This event also contributes to UNFPA's strategic plan outcomes, aimed at reducing gender-based violence, addressing harmful practices, and strengthening mechanisms for gender equality and women's decision-making. Empowering women through education, legal frameworks, and workplace inclusion leads to stronger families and economies. It is an integrative process necessitating legal reform, equitable access to public goods, and the deconstruction of generational inequalities in representation. Providing young people with access to quality healthcare, education, and civic participation equips them to lead positive change in their communities. As a donor and a development partner, Japan reiterates its unwavering commitment to equity-centered multilateralism. We are proud to contribute to regional efforts that promote structural transformation, particularly those which prioritize dignity, equality, and opportunity for all. Though our sustained collaboration with UNFPA, AFPPD, and national committees, we aim to create lasting impact that resonate not only in national policies but also in the everyday lives of individuals across South Asia, thereby fostering a future in which equity is not aspirational but operational. I respect the leadership of AFPPD, the unwavering dedication of parliamentarians across South Asia, and the evolving yet purposeful collaboration with UNFPA, which together form the backbone of this shared endeavor. Your leadership and sustained advocacy continue to advance our policy environment where gender equality and youth empowerment are not peripheral concerns but central organizing principles. Let us move forward not merely as a partner in implementation, but as co-authors, writers of a more just, inclusive, and intergenerationally accountable future. Thank you very much. Shukriya.
Thank you, Mr. Sugiyama Koji, for your insightful words and your continued support for the empowerment of women and young people. Next, I would like to respectfully invite Mr. Ho Jung, UN Residence Coordinator, to deliver his remarks.
Good morning, everyone. Honorable Ahmed Nazim, the Deputy Speaker of the House, Mr. Yogesh Guchen, the Tathali, the Member of Parliament from from Nepal, and Sugiyama Kuji, from Japanese Embassy, dear all UN country team colleagues and Parliament members from all over the region, welcome and good morning. My name is Hao Zhang. I'm the resident coordinator in Maldives since mid of May. It is a great pleasure for me and a privilege to address this distinguished assembly of honorable members of parliament from the region, gathered to deliberate the crucial, impressive investing in young people and women. I extend the sincerest gratitude to AFPPD and the UNFPA team for convincing this timely and vital standing committee, made possible through the generous support from the Japanese Trust Fund. Asian Pacific face significant challenges despite the progress, including demographic shifts, climate change, conflict, and uneven development status, disproportionately affecting vulnerable groups. Growing conservatism and declining support threaten the health, education, and the gender equity, making the United Nations role crucial. Funding shortfall and other projected regional growth slowdown further complicate matters. However, the women and girls bearing the most consequence. The UN is responding with focused action, driving efficiencies and prioritizing strategic partnerships. We are working hand in hand with government partners, women-led communities, based organizations, and ensure vital services continue and the leadership in every level. Our collaboration are expanding, reaching across sectors, including regional cooperation mechanism, the private sector, and international financial institutions, recognizing that collective effort is crucial to get this challenge work complete. The message is very clear: investing in human capital yields high returns. These findings highlights the need for new policies, as current models may not align with aspiration of young generation. As a small island developing state, the Maldives is also facing aging, with a median age of 30, emphasizing increasing importance of investing in young potentials. At the other end of the democratic spectrum, we must prepare for further 1.3 billion people in the region will be over 60 by 2050. This necessarily a life cycle approach that ensure an older person age with health, dignity, and security, supported by investment in care economy and simultaneously simulate the broader civil economy and strengthening health and well-being. Honorable Member of Parliament, thanks for all government and organization and civil society for their commitment. We are here to addressing this challenging issue. Achieving gender equity and women's empowerment requires investing in youth empowerment, independence, and skill, especially aimed at rapid environmental change. Dear Parliament members, are crucial for advancing this national and international policy and the budget related to sexual and reproductive health and rights, gender equity, and demographic resilience. In Maldives, existing women's legislation through commendable needs revision due to overlap and contradiction hinder the positive impact. By championing productive laws and advocating resources allocation, dear Parliament members can convert the high-level commitment into tangible progress. Your leadership ensures an effective human rights-based, evidence-based, and inclusive national development plan, fostering lasting productive change and equitable society. Dear honorable members of parliament, finally, let me resolute our commitment to address these challenges head-on. Let us work together to concrete an environment where women and youth are empowered, where families are supported, and where all individuals can realize their full potential. This is a time for action now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ho-Chun, for your valuable reflections and steadfast commitment to our shared goals. Now I have the honor to invite Honorable Yogesh Kauchen Takali, MP from Nepal, also Chair of AFPPD Standing Committee on Investing in Youth, to deliver his remarks.
Honorable Chair, Honorable Ahmed Najim, Member of Parliament, Deputy Speaker of the People's Majlis, Mr. Hao Zhang, UN Resident Coordinator, Mr. Sugiyama Koji from the Embassy of Japan, esteemed parliamentarians, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen. First of all, good morning, welcome, walaikum salam, and namaste. It is a profound honor to address this timely and vital sub-regional parliamentarians meeting organized by the AFPPD. As chair of AFPPD's Standing Committee on Youth, I am deeply privileged and honored to represent the aspirations and voices of young people across South Asia, one of the world's youngest regions, and to stand in strong solidarity with the cause of advancing the rights, well-being, and empowerment of women and girls. We gather here today under a shared and urgent vision to strengthen women's empowerment and to invest meaningfully in the potential of young people across our region. These two imperatives are not our separate pursuits. They are deeply interconnected, and together they form the cornerstone of resilient, inclusive, and equitable societies. South Asia, with its vibrant cultures and enormous human capital, is home to the largest youth population in the world. This demographic reality is not just a statistic, it is a powerful force for transformation, innovation, and progress. Equally, the women of our region, who long have sustained our families and societies, are increasingly emerging as architects of change, leadership, and development. And yet, the reality of living for many remains far from the promise. Deep-rooted patriarchal systems, economic disparities, limited access to quality education, health services, and technology, as well as persistent gender-based violence, continue to marginalize women and youth. The climate crisis, a shrinking space for civil society, declining development assistance, and ongoing regional conflicts only compound these challenges. Girls are being pushed into early marriage, youth are being denied the educational and livelihoods they deserve. Now, I would like to put light on our shared journey and our roadmap ahead, embracing the global commitments. Our responses must be firmly anchored in the global and regional framework we have collectively endorsed, which includes the Sustainable Development Goals, particularly SDGs 5 on gender equality, 4 on education, 8 on decent work, and 13 on climate actions. The Lisbon Youth Declaration, which emphasizes the call for inclusive, rights-based youth policies and meaningful participation in governance. the UN Youth Mandate, which highly emphasizes particularly resolutions like 2250 and 2535, which recognizes youth as agents of peace and sustainable development. The Pact for the Future, which emphasizes youth participation in shaping national and global development strategies. The International Conference on Population and Development, ICPD. Recently, I had a chance to visit the the West African nation, the Gambia, which hosted the ICPD 30 on the thematic pillars of youth and peace. So which plays a crucial role in advancing policies and advocating the rights-based legislation and issues hovering across the globe. And such places could be a useful platform where we can put the issues of youth and all gender-related issues across our platforms available to young parliamentarians like me. Like CEDAW and Beijing Platform for Action, which remains foundational to advancing the rights and empowerment of women and rights. These are not simply aspirational declarations, they are concrete roadmaps. As parliamentarians, we must be entrusted with the critical responsibility to translate them into legislation, policies, and budgetary decisions that lead to real and measurable change. In this effort, our roles are multifaceted. We must concentrate our effort in order to reform discriminatory laws, advocate for and allocate gender and youth responsive budgets, ensure rigorous oversight and accountability, promote inclusive political participation, and challenge societal norms that restrict empowerment. Platforms like AFPPD serve as vital enablers for cross-country learning, shared advocacy, and building regional solidarity to tackle our common challenge together. Now, as a chair on investing in youth, I would like to focus few of my points in this thematic pillar as well. As a young people are seen merely as tomorrow's leaders, but they are not only today's change makers, but rather the future holds in this entire generation as well. With more than 1.8 billion youth worldwide and a significant portion in South Asia, the future of this region as well as global community hinges on the investment we make in this generation today. Yet, youth across the region face systematic hurdles that constrain their full participation and potential, like inadequate access to inclusive and quality education, high levels of unemployment and underemployment, limited access to SRHR rights, escalating mental health issues, exposure to gender-based violence and harmful practices, displacement and disruption caused by climate change. To truly empower our youth, we must go beyond token inclusion, drawing inspiration from the Lisbon Declaration, the UN Youth Strategy, Youth 2030, and the AFPPD Youth Charter. I urge fellow parliamentarians to prioritize developing future-ready skills, especially for green and digital economies, creating platforms for youth civic engagement and leadership, enacting strong legal protection that uphold youth rights, ensuring universal access to comprehensive sexuality education, expanding youth-friendly sexual and reproductive health rights. By investing in youth today, we invest in the inclusive, resilient, and thriving societies we envision for tomorrow. Now, let me put some light on women issue as well, as it is a foundation for our sustainable and inclusive development. And the gender equality issue is not a secondary issue. It is the very foundation upon which sustainable development stands. In South Asia, women continue to grapple with deeply rooted and systematic inequalities like low participation in the labor force and widespread economic marginalization, discriminatory laws, structural barriers to education, skills training, and political representation in leadership, persistent GBV violence and harmful practices, insufficient access to comprehensive reproductive health and rights, Transforming this landscape requires both legal reform and cultural shift in norms and attitude of our societies. And as a parliamentarians, we must lead by enacting and enforcing laws that guarantee equal rights and protection, institutionalizing gender-based responsive budgeting for meaningful resource allocation, demanding transparency and accountability on gender policy implementation, championing women's leadership in politics, economy, and every space of decision-making. Let us remember, investing in women is not just the right thing to do, rather it is the smartest investment we can make for our societies and economies. Now, bridging these two, intersectionality and inclusion, the youth and the women dynamics, how can we bridge these two dynamics to build our community more resilient and more inclusive and more the collective effort to institutionalize our goals and rights where we have achieved, where we have come so far. Young women, particularly from marginalized and underserved communities, face a compounded burden, discrimination on the basis of both age and gender. Our approach must therefore be intersectional, inclusive, and right-based. The Pact for the Future calls for intergenerational equity, justice, and participatory governance. Women and youth should not merely be beneficiaries of development, rather they must be co-creators of the future we are building. Now, let us transform our national, regional, and global commitments into action. We, as a parliamentarians, hold immense power to shape outcomes. Our legislative and oversight roles are instrumental in delivering on the national, regional, and global commitments we have collectively endorsed. Let us recommend advocating for targeted investment in youth and women, enacting inclusive, evidence-based, and rights-focused laws, aligning national plans with the SDGs, CEDAW, and other frameworks, ensuring budget allocation reflects our priorities and ambitions, strengthening parliamentary caucuses for women and youth, embedding participatory processes that engage civil society, especially youth and women's groups. Let us use platforms such as AFPPD, IPU, and other regional alliances to deepen collaboration, shared solution, and accelerate collective progress. Now, let me briefly reflect on my own country's experience. Recently, my country is recently federated, young federal country in entire global architecture, and upon our promulgation of new Constitution 2025, where we have mandated the 33% of mandatory political representation at the Federal Parliament of Nepal. As of now, we have able to achieve more than 40% of women leadership in our national parliament, federal parliament, and more than that, around 40% to above, approximately, the women leaders are there at the grassroots and subnational and the local government. And yet there are gaps in the implementation. Collectively, as a nation, we are trying to periodically review the gap deficit which hovers around this women and youth issues. But yet, in implementation gap persists because of various social and cultural factors like the taboos, and it takes time for societies to evolve. Even though there are legislation and policies and frameworks put in place to empower women and youth, they are still, as a society, we are going through a patriarchal society, and it takes little time for society as a whole to evolve. So let's hope that in coming future, as a nation, we will be doing far better than what we are here today. And lastly, I would like to conclude by focusing my points to dear colleagues and friends. The path ahead will require resolve, creativity, and solidarity, but the vision we share, a South Asia where every woman and every young person can live with dignity, participate fully, and shape their own future, is within our reach. Let us rise to this moment with the leadership it demands. Let us empower every girl and every young person to thrive, ensure our laws and budgets which reflects the promise we have made, use our voice to dismantle injustice, inequality that persists, and build a future where gender equality and youth empowerment are not aspiration but lived realities. And lastly, while concluding my remarks, I would like to thank UNFPA for supporting this GBB issues and youth issues across the region. And I would like to sincerely thank the government of Japan and organizing AFPPD entire team, especially our coordinator Farooqji. And lastly, I would like to conclude by submitting that as a chair of investing on youth, me myself represent the northernmost Himalayan region of our country, wherein we are the most vulnerable region in terms of the persistent issues which is compounded by climate change. So I would like to urge all my fellow parliamentarians to shift their focus towards the most vulnerable part of our contemporary discussion, which happens to be climate change, where the communities like ours is disproportionately affected, for which our collective effort is the need of our time. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Yogesh Jauchen Takali, for your passionate advocacy and leadership in advancing the right of women and young people in the region. Finally, I would like to kindly invite Honorable Ahmad Nazim, MP, Deputy Speaker of the People's Majlis, to address the gathering.
Honorable Chair, MP Yogesh Gaushan Thakali, Chair of AFPPD, Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, my fellow MPs, ladies and gentlemen. It is a profound honor to host the AFPPD sub-regional parliamentary meeting on women's empowerment and investment in young people here in Maldives. On behalf of the Maldives Parliament, I extend a very warm welcome to all of you. Our nation is changing rapidly with evolving traditions and economic roles. Women form a significant part of our civil and public service workforce, including the middle management. I'm proud to say that this Parliament, 62% of our staff is women and 55% of our top management is also women. Also, in our police force, 23% is women. And in our audit office and customs, the majority of workers are women. Yet, we face a concerning decline in women in leadership positions. When we elected 93 MPs, only 3 women were able to enter the parliament. This is a serious issue that we should address and identify the key reasons why women are not being empowered and they go into leadership positions. As policymakers, it is our duty to empower women to rise to these roles, breaking barriers and shaping an equitable future. Data from the 2024 Maldives census shows trends we must address. The census clearly shows that by 2054, we expect our population to be 1 million, mostly Maldivians with some migrant residents. Our population is aging fast with slower growth and fewer children per family. People will live longer, reaching 83 years of age, and we will have more elderly people compared to children by 2050. This signals an aging population with the median age rising from 17 to 37 years. A striking transformation in the shift of population distribution. In 2014, 38% of Maldivians lived in Malay area, with the majority in the atolls. By 2054, we expect 64% to reside in the Greater Malé area, mainly due to constant internal migration and low fertility rates in the outer islands. This move to Greater Malé area, along with a strong working age group supported by migrant workers, brings opportunities as well as challenges. These demographic changes underscore the need for inclusive policies. That is what we are going to discuss in this conference. Our growing workforce can drive progress, but only if we invest in youth, especially young women with education, skills, and leadership roles. The aging population and urban migration to the Greater Malé area call for policies that strengthen healthcare, mental health support, and urban infrastructure while ensuring gender equality in all spheres. Inclusivity must guide our policy and lawmaking. By amplifying the voices of women and youth in dialogues that affect them most, we can craft innovative, holistic legislation. I would like to note that Maldives has already reserved 33% of elected positions in local councils to women. And also the WDCs in all islands has been established, and they have been included in the payroll of the councils. And then when we revise the local council legislation, we will try to increase that percentage. The presently allocated 33%, we will try to increase it to 40% when the legislations come to Parliament, hopefully next month. Let's think about this too. The Maldives faces a critical challenge with brain drain. As many of our brightest minds seek better opportunities abroad, depleting our nation's human capital. To reverse this, we must reform our education, employment, and economic systems to create opportunities that retain and attract our best talent. The responsibility rests with us to enhance the working conditions and ensure a thriving future for our nation, transforming this brain drain into a brain gain for the Maldives. Civil society organizations are vital partners in promoting gender equality and mental health, and empowering them is crucial to building resilient communities. I'm proud to acknowledge that Dr. Anara Naim has been elected to the Executive Committee of AFPPD, reflecting the Maldives' commitment to global leadership in these areas. I would also like to acknowledge today the presence of my classmate and colleague, Shadia Ibrahim, a class of '88, for her dedicated service, lifelong service to women empowerment and social welfare issues in the Maldives. Her presence as a resource person is going to make this conference, these meetings, and her experience will make it, but it will enrich this conference. Under President Dr. Moi's visionary leadership, our nation is taking bold steps to advance mental health and gender equality. His administration prioritizes accessible mental health services and awareness campaigns, including the Happiness Maldives program, which promotes community well-being through projects fostering joy and resilience. Simultaneously, the government champions policies that empower women and girls to participate meaningfully in all aspects of life. The presence of the Youth Minister and the Social Welfare Minister highlights their commitment to the theme of this conference and our commitment to the SDG goals as mentioned by our chair. These efforts aim to break barriers, uplift marginalized voices, and build a future where every Maldivian can thrive. To further enhance the lives of our citizens, the Maldives is pioneering a National Happiness Index, a project launched by the government to measure happiness at individual, community, and national levels. Through ongoing workshops and public consultations, the government is crafting an inclusive framework rooted in Maldivian culture, religion, and economy, aligned with international best practices. Young women deserve role models who inspire them to dream without limits. I envision the Maldives where more women lead, shattering stereotypes and shaping a brighter future for all. I thank you for thank you the UN organizations for organizing and supporting this conference, and I wish you all the best. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Deputy Speaker Ahmad Nazim, for your inspiring remarks and unwavering dedications to these goals. With that, we conclude the opening ceremony. We kindly invite our guests to proceed to the next room for light refreshment. And we kindly request conference participants to remain in the event room briefly for a group photo. Thank you.